Tonight's story follows a woman who came home wounded, only to learn her family had room for her medals, but not her pain. My name is Anna Whitaker. I'm 34 years old. When I came home injured, my family called me brave in public and treated me like a burden in private. They posted photos of me in uniform. They told neighbors I was strong. They cried at church when people praised my service. Then, inside the house, they moved my things into the back room. They stopped inviting me to family dinners because they said crowds might overwhelm me. They stopped asking what I needed because they said I probably didn't know yet. They stopped saying my name in future plans because, apparently, healing made me inconvenient. Only my grandfather still spoke to me like I was whole. And when he died, my family rushed to sell his old beehives and the land behind them. They didn't know he had left every hive, every acre, and one locked wooden box to me. Before I tell you about the day my family found out, you need to know what the bees meant. My grandfather's name was Eli Whitaker, but everyone in town called him Grandpa Eli, even people who weren't related to him. He lived on 12 acres outside Briar Creek, Tennessee, in a white farmhouse with a slanted porch, a rusted wind chime, and rows of beehives sitting beyond the apple trees like little wooden houses full of secrets. He had been a carpenter, a veteran, a widower, and, later in life, a beekeeper. He said bees were proof that small things could build something impossible if they worked with purpose. My family thought the bees were strange. My mother called them your grandfather's little obsession. My father called them a hobby that got out of hand. My older sister Melissa said the whole place smelled like wax and grass and old people decisions. I loved it. When I was little, Grandpa Eli would take me out near the hives at sunrise, not too close at first. He would hand me a jar of honey and tell me to hold it up to the light. "Look at that," he'd say. "Summer, bottled." I was 6 the first time he let me wear one of his old veils. It swallowed my head completely. I looked like a tiny ghost with sneakers. Melissa screamed when one bee landed on the mesh. I held still. Grandpa smiled. "Anna has sense," he said. "The hive can feel panic." From then on, the bees became our secret language. When my parents praised Melissa's dance trophies, Grandpa asked me what I had noticed in the garden. When my father told me not to be too quiet, Grandpa told me quiet people heard more. When my mother said I should smile more in family photos, Grandpa said, "Bees don't waste honey proving they're sweet." I didn't understand all his sayings back then. I just knew they made me feel less wrong. In my family, Melissa was the shining one. She was beautiful in a way people mentioned before her name. She had glossy hair, bright teeth, perfect posture, and the ability to make my mother's friends say, "You must be so proud," before Melissa had done anything but walk into the room. I was not like that. I was practical, watchful, good in emergencies. I remembered where the first aid kit was. I noticed when the tire pressure light came on. I could read maps before most kids my age could fold them. Teachers called me reliable. My mother called me low maintenance, which sounded like praise until I realized it meant she invested less because I complained less. My father, Thomas Whitaker, believed children should be useful. He had worked for the county for 30 years and judged people by whether they made life smoother or harder. Melissa made life brighter. I made it smoother. Neither of us was really known. My mother, Carol, was softer in public than she was at home. At church, she was kind, prayerful, endlessly patient. At home, patience had a limit, and the limit usually arrived when someone needed something that made her uncomfortable. Grandpa Eli saw all of it. He never criticized my parents directly when I was young. He didn't need to. His silences had furniture in them. When Melissa forgot my birthday dinner because she had a recital rehearsal, Grandpa showed up with a small cake shaped like a beehive. When my parents missed my high school awards ceremony because Melissa had a regional dance showcase, Grandpa sat in the front row and clapped so loudly the principal looked over. When I told my family I wanted to join the army after college, my mother cried as if I had announced I was leaving to hurt her personally. My father said it was a serious decision, which meant he wanted me to choose something easier to explain at dinner. Grandpa Eli just nodded. "What kind of work?" he asked. "Logistics," I said. "Operations, supply coordination, maybe humanitarian support." He smiled. "You always did know where things belonged." That was the closest anyone came to understanding. I joined because I wanted structure, purpose, movement. I wanted a life bigger than being the dependable daughter in a house where dependable meant available. I wanted to be useful somewhere that admitted usefulness mattered. For years, I was good at it. I deployed. I organized supply routes, coordinated with medical teams, handled pressure, solved problems, worked long hours, and learned how to stay calm when plans collapsed. I came home on leave with stories I edited heavily so my mother could sleep and my father could brag without worrying too much. They liked the version of my service that came in photographs. My mother loved posting pictures of me in uniform. "Our brave Anna," she wrote, "so proud of our daughter serving her country." At church, she squeezed my arm and cried when people thanked me. Melissa took selfies with me and captioned them, "My badass sister." My father introduced me as Captain Whitaker, even after I corrected him that I wasn't a captain. He didn't care. Captain sounded better. Grandpa Eli never asked for the polished story. He asked, "Are you eating?" He asked, "Do you sleep?" He asked, "Do you still know when the hive is too loud?" I always lied a little. "I'm okay." He always heard the part I didn't say. Then came the accident. I won't describe it the way some people expect. There was no cinematic moment, no music, no heroic speech. There was a convoy, bad timing, confusion, and one ordinary second that divided my life into before and after. I lived. That was the sentence everyone celebrated. I lived. They said it like a period, but survival is not a period. Sometimes it is a comma that leaves the rest of the sentence difficult to read. I came home with injuries that changed how I moved, pain that came and went without asking permission, a nervous system that startled at sounds I used to ignore. Some days I could walk fine. Some days stairs felt like an argument. Some nights I woke up sweating, not because of memories I could explain neatly, but because my body had become a house where every door slammed at once. Doctors called it recovery. Paperwork called it transition. My mother called it adjusting. My father called it getting back on track. Melissa called it your healing era, then sent me a link to a wellness influencer who sold lavender eye pillows. Grandpa Eli called it coming home. That was the difference. At first, my family performed beautifully. My mother organized a welcome home lunch with yellow ribbons on the mailbox and patriotic cupcakes. My father invited neighbors. Melissa filmed me walking up the driveway and posted it online before I had even sat down. Everyone hugged me carefully, as if I might break or sue. People said, "You're so strong." People said, "You look amazing." People said, "At least you're home." I smiled until my face hurt. The house had changed while I was gone. Or maybe I had. My old room had become Melissa's seasonal storage space, full of bins labeled fall decor, baby clothes future, wedding extras, and one box of throw pillows no human being needed. My mother said they had cleared the small back room for me because it was quieter. The back room was off the laundry area. It had one narrow window, a twin bed, and a bookshelf full of old tax files. "We thought this would be peaceful," my mother said. I looked at the vacuum cleaner in the corner. "Thank you," I said. Because what else do you say when people put you beside the detergent and call it care? For the first few weeks, I tried. I really did. I went to physical therapy. I filled out forms. I smiled at visitors. I sat through meals while people talked around me in soft voices. I let my mother remind me when to take medication I did not need reminding about. I let my father explain benefit paperwork to me even though I had managed logistics under pressure for years. I let Melissa say, "I just miss the old Anna," as if I had misplaced myself on purpose. The old Anna. People love the old version of you when the new version requires accommodation. The first time my family truly saw my pain, they looked away. It happened during Sunday dinner. My mother had invited Melissa, her husband Brent, and their 2 little boys. The house was loud. Too loud. Forks clinking, children shouting, television murmuring from the living room, Melissa laughing sharply at something Brent said. I tried to stay at the table. I tried to be normal. Then one of the boys dropped a metal tray in the kitchen. The sound cracked through me. I stood too fast. My chair scraped the floor. My hands shook. I couldn't breathe right. Not dramatically, not like movies. Just enough that my body stopped trusting the room. "I need a minute," I said. I walked to the hallway. Behind me, I heard Melissa whisper, "Is she going to do that every time?" No one corrected her. Not my mother. Not my father. No one. I made it to the back room, closed the door, and sat on the edge of the bed until my breathing slowed. 5 minutes later, Grandpa Eli knocked. Not my mother. Not my father. "Grandpa." "Anna?" he said. "I'm fine." He opened the door anyway, slowly. That's not what I asked. He stepped inside carrying his old canvas jacket. "I'm sorry," I said. He frowned. "For what?" "Ruining dinner." He sat beside me with the careful slowness of an old man whose knees had opinions. "Dinner was already ruined. Your sister brought that potato salad." I laughed before I could stop myself. He smiled. Then he said, "Come to the farm tomorrow. I have appointments. After." "Grandpa, I'm tired." "I know." "Then why?" "Because the bees don't need you to explain yourself." So I went. The next afternoon, he drove me to the hives in his old green truck. The road to his farm curved past fields, a small church, and the creek where Markham boys used to fish illegally. He didn't talk much. That was one of the things I loved about him. When we reached the apiary, he handed me a veil and gloves. "I don't know if I can," I said. "You can stand 10 feet away." "What if I panic?" "Then you panic 10 feet away." That was Grandpa Eli. No false comfort, just permission to be human. I stood near the hives while bees moved in and out of their boxes, purposeful and alive. The sound rose around me, not loud exactly, but full. A humming that did not demand anything from me. For the first time since coming home, my body believed it was not under attack. Grandpa watched the hives. "People think bees are fragile," he said. "They're not, but they are sensitive to neglect. You ignore the small signs, and by the time you notice, the whole colony suffers." I looked at him. "You talking about bees?" "Mostly." I almost smiled. From then on, I went to the farm 3 times a week. At first, I only watched. Then I held tools. Then I helped check frames, fill feeders, clean equipment, label jars. Grandpa moved slowly, but knew every hive like a neighbor. He named them after old country songs and women from his past he refused to explain. The hives gave me routine without pity. The bees did not applaud me for showing up. They did not ask when I would be normal. They did not post photos of my progress. They only required steadiness. I could give them that. At home, things worsened. My mother got tired of being patient. That was how she said it once, not realizing I was in the hallway. I know she's been through a lot, she told my father, but the mood in this house is impossible. My father sighed. She needs to get back to life. Melissa said it more directly. I love her, but she's different now. It's like everything revolves around not upsetting Anna. Everything did not revolve around me. I ate in the back room half the time so no one would have to lower the volume. I did my own laundry even on bad pain days. I paid for my own medical expenses when I could. I apologized for needing rides. I apologized for not attending events. I apologized when I flinched, when I forgot, when I slept too long, when I couldn't sleep at all. I became an apology living in the laundry room. Grandpa noticed. One morning at the farm, he found me sitting behind the shed, crying quietly into my sleeve. A hive tool lay in the grass beside me. He sat on an overturned bucket. Did the smoker bite you? I wiped my face. No. Then I'll need the real reason. I told him, not everything. Enough. How my mother spoke about me like a weather delay. How my father only seemed comfortable when discussing forms. How Melissa missed the old me. How the back room made me feel like something stored, not someone welcomed. Grandpa listened. When I finished, he looked toward the hives. Your family likes honey, he said. They don't much respect the bees. I looked at him. They like the part they can show people. He nodded. That's the easier part. Then he reached into his jacket pocket and handed me a key. Small, brass, old. What is this? Toolbox in the shed. Bottom drawer sticks. Pull hard. Why? There's a journal in there. Start reading. Grandpa! Anna. His voice changed then. Not harsh, serious. One day people will tell you what I wanted. They'll be confident. They'll be wrong. Paper helps. Paper helps. Grandma Nora in another life would have approved. I started reading the journals that week. Grandpa Eli had kept records for 26 years. Hive health, queen replacements, honey yields, weather patterns, bloom cycles, expenses, customers, local market notes, repairs, land taxes, equipment purchases. It was not a hobby journal. It was a business ledger disguised as an old man's habit. Whitaker Honey House, registered name. I had never known the apiary made real money. Not huge money, not wealth from a movie, but steady, clean, honest income. Farmers market sales, local grocery accounts, soap makers buying wax, a bakery buying honey monthly. Seasonal gift boxes. One small contract with a wellness shop in Nashville. Grandpa had built something quiet and alive. My family had never bothered to notice. That spring, I helped him more. We redesigned labels. I created a simple ordering spreadsheet. I contacted old customers. I helped set up a Saturday market booth because Grandpa's knees were worse, and I needed something to do that made me feel capable. People came. More than I expected. They knew Grandpa. They asked about the hives. They bought wildflower honey, clover honey, beeswax candles, lip balm Melissa once called farm stuff. One woman bought 6 jars and said, "This honey got me through chemo toast." Grandpa smiled all the way home. "You did good," he said. "We did good." "No," he said. "You did good." I looked out the truck window so he wouldn't see my eyes fill. At home, my family noticed the wrong part. "You're spending a lot of time at Grandpa's," my mother said. "It helps." "That's good, but don't overdo it." "I'm not." Melissa, who was visiting with the boys, looked up from her phone. "Are you actually beekeeping now?" Helping. She laughed. That's very cottagecore of you. I didn't know what that meant, but I knew it wasn't respect. My father said, just don't let Dad convince you that old farm is worth more than it is. Developers have been circling that road for years. Grandpa's farm sat near land that a regional developer wanted for luxury cabins. My father had mentioned it before, so had Melissa. Always casually. Dad should sell before upkeep kills him. That land is wasted on bees. Imagine what the property taxes will be in 5 years. At first, I thought they worried about Grandpa. Then I realized they were calculating inheritance. That summer, Grandpa's health declined. Slowly at first, then quickly enough that denial couldn't keep up. He got tired walking to the hives. His hands shook when lifting frames. He forgot a customer's name and looked so angry at himself, I pretended not to notice. I drove him to appointments, picked up prescriptions, cooked soup he complained about, and ate anyway. Slept on his couch when he had bad nights. My parents visited on Sundays after church. Melissa came when there were photos to take. My father asked about land offers. My mother asked if Grandpa had thought about simplifying. Melissa asked if the farmhouse had mold because old places always have hidden issues. Grandpa smiled politely. Then, when they left, he'd say, "Buzzards." I would scold him. He would say, "I'm old, not blind." One evening in August, we sat on the porch watching the hives turn gold in the low sun. The air smelled like cut grass and warm honey. Grandpa's breathing was shallow but steady. He said, "You know why bees swarm?" I smiled. Because the colony outgrows the old space. Sometimes. Sometimes because the old queen can't hold it together anymore. You talking about bees? Mostly. I leaned my head against the porch post. He said, "Anna, when I'm gone, they'll sell everything if they can." I didn't answer. He continued, "They'll say it's too much work. They'll say bees are dangerous. They'll say you aren't ready." My throat tightened. Maybe I'm not. He looked at me then. "The bees never asked you to be who you were before. They only needed you to show up." That sentence settled inside me like a seed. He reached under the blanket on his lap and pulled out a small wooden box. It was dark, handmade, with a carved bee on the lid. "Don't open this until you're with Helen Park." "Your lawyer?" "My friend," he said. "Also, my lawyer. People can be two things." "Grandpa, what did you do?" "What I should have done sooner." I took the box. It was heavier than it looked. He covered my hand with his. "You are not broken, Anna. You are altered." There's a difference. A broken thing is finished. An altered thing has a new shape. I couldn't speak. He looked back toward the hives. Let them underestimate the new shape. Grandpa Eli died 3 weeks later. Peacefully, they said. I have always disliked that word around death. Peacefully for whom? The person leaving? The people left? The room? The paperwork? All I know is that one morning, the farm felt wrong before I reached the porch. Too still. The wind chime moved, but the house did not. After the funeral, my family gathered in Grandpa's farmhouse. My mother cried in a controlled, church-appropriate way. My father stood by the fireplace with his hands in his pockets. Melissa walked through rooms taking pictures of old furniture and saying, "This could actually be cute if renovated." I sat on the porch steps because the house smelled like him, and I could not breathe inside it yet. The hives hummed beyond the apple trees. No one else went near them. 3 days later, my father called a family meeting. Not Helen Park, not the lawyer. My father. We sat in Grandpa's living room. My mother had brought bottled water and a folder. Melissa brought Brent, which annoyed me because Grandpa had never liked Brent after he called honey bee syrup. My father cleared his throat. We need to discuss practical matters. That meant money. The farm will require maintenance, taxes, hive removal, liability. The property has significant market value if sold quickly. Melissa nodded. Brent knows a developer who might make a strong offer. Of course Brent did. My mother looked at me with a soft expression I didn't trust. Anna, we know the farm meant a lot to you and Dad, but you have to think about your health. Managing all this would be too much. I didn't say I wanted to manage all this. My father looked relieved. That bothered me. He continued, Good. We don't want sentiment to cloud judgment. Sentiment. That was what he called the place where Grandpa had saved me. Melissa said, Honestly, it could be a blessing. Sell it, split the money, everyone moves forward. Split? I asked. She blinked. Obviously between Mom, Dad, and us. However, the will says. What does the will say? My father shifted. We'll know when Helen reads it, but Dad always believed in family fairness. Family fairness. A phrase usually spoken by people preparing to be unfair with witnesses. I looked at my mother. She said, Your grandfather loved all of us. Yes, I said. But he knew all of us too. The room went quiet. Melissa rolled her eyes. There it is. What? The wounded wisdom act. My mother said, Melissa, but softly, not sharply. Never sharply for Melissa. I stood. I'm leaving. My father said, Anna, don't be dramatic. I turned to him. I came home wounded, not deaf. Then I walked out. The will reading took place 1 week later in Helen Park's office. Helen was in her 70s with cropped white hair, red glasses, and a voice dry enough to preserve fruit. Her office smelled like paper, cedar, and peppermint tea. My parents dressed like they were attending a bank appointment. Melissa wore black and gold jewelry she probably thought looked respectful. I brought Grandpa's wooden box in my bag. Helen looked at each of us over her glasses. Before we begin, Eli left clear instructions that this meeting be recorded. My father frowned. Is that necessary? Helen smiled without warmth. Eli thought so. The will started simply. Some savings to church repairs. His truck to a neighbor who had helped him after storms. His tools divided between 2 old friends. Personal items listed carefully. Then Helen reached the farm. My father leaned forward. Helen read, I leave the farmhouse, the 12-acre property known as Whitaker Farm, the apiary, all hives, equipment, customer accounts, business records, and the registered trade name Whitaker Honey House to my granddaughter, Anna Whitaker. No one breathed. Melissa spoke first. What? Helen continued. In addition, I leave to Anna the contents of the locked wooden box in her possession, including all documents inside and the funds held in the Whitaker Honey House operating account. My mother turned to me. You knew? I said nothing, because I had not known the full truth. My father's voice was tight. Is this some kind of mistake? Helen looked at him. I drafted it. It is not. Melissa laughed once. A sharp, ugly sound. He left the entire farm to Anna? Helen said, That is what I read, but she can't run it. Helen looked at her. Eli disagreed. My mother reached for my father's hand. This isn't fair. There it was. Fairness had arrived late and offended. Helen turned a page. There is also a letter Eli requested I read aloud. My chest tightened. Helen unfolded the letter. To my family. If you are hearing this, then I am gone, and someone is probably already calling me unfair. That is fine. I have been called worse by better people. Whitaker Farm is not being divided because it is not a pie. It is a living thing. Living things do not survive being cut into pieces for people who only want a taste. Anna came home wounded, and too many of you treated her like an inconvenience wrapped in a flag. You liked the story of her bravery until bravery needed a quiet room, patience, and work. The bees did not ask her to perform. They taught her to return. For 3 years, Anna has cared for this land, these hives, these records, and me. She knows the queens by temperament, the customers by name, the market schedule, the repairs needed, and the way the Northfield floods after hard rain. More importantly, she knows that care is not a speech. It is showing up when no one is taking pictures. Thomas, you see land as value. Carol, you see family as appearance. Melissa, you see inheritance as fairness only when fairness benefits you. Anna sees what is alive. So I am leaving the living thing to the person who kept it alive. If any of you contest this will, Helen has instructions to release the attached care records, business records, and my written statements regarding your attempts to pressure me into selling while I was still capable of saying no. Do not embarrass yourselves. Eli Whitaker. Helen lowered the letter. The office was silent. Do not embarrass yourselves. Even dead, Grandpa knew exactly where to place the fence. My father's face had gone gray. Melissa stared at me with pure fury. My mother began to cry. Not grief. Loss. There is a difference. I opened the wooden box with trembling hands. Inside were deed documents, business account papers, passwords sealed in envelopes, a handwritten list of customers, a key to the honey shed, and another letter. This one had my name. Anna, you may sell someday if you choose, but do not sell because they make you feel too wounded to own what is yours. The farm does not need the old you. It needs the true you. Grandpa. I folded the letter carefully. Melissa stood. This is manipulation. Helen said, it is estate planning. Melissa pointed at me. She got in his head when he was sick. I looked at her. No, I got in his truck when no one else would drive him to appointments. Her face flushed. My mother said, Anna, sweetheart, we never meant to make you feel unwanted. I laughed, not loudly, just once, because sweetheart sounded strange from someone who had given my room to throw pillows. You moved me into the laundry room. My mother's face tightened. That room was quiet. It had detergent and tax files. My father said, we were trying to help. No, I said. You were trying to keep me out of the way. He looked at the floor. I turned to Melissa. And you said you missed the old Anna. She crossed her arms. I did. I know. The old Anna made everyone comfortable. No one answered. I picked up Grandpa's letter. The bees never asked me to be who I was before. They only needed me to show up. Helen smiled faintly. My family did not. That was fine. The first month after inheriting the farm was brutal. Not in a dramatic way. In the way responsibility becomes real after the paperwork dries. There were hives to inspect, equipment to clean, orders to fulfill, weeds to cut, taxes to understand, insurance to update, customers to notify, repairs to make, and nights when pain moved through my body like weather. I cried in the honey shed twice. Once because I dropped a full box of jars. Once because I found Grandpa's old gloves hanging on a nail and reached for them without thinking. But I did not quit. Helen helped with legal transfers. A local beekeeper named Sam Ortiz helped with hive management in exchange for shared equipment access. A teenage neighbor named June started helping at the market on Saturdays. She was quiet, serious, and better at math than most adults, so naturally I trusted her. We updated the labels. Whitaker Honey House. Small Batch Tennessee Honey, founded by Eli Whitaker, carried forward by Anna Whitaker. The first time I saw my name on the label, I had to sit down. Not because it was glamorous, because it was proof. My family reacted the way people react when they lose control of a story. My mother told church friends I had isolated myself at Dad's farm. My father called twice asking if I had considered a partial sale. Melissa posted a vague quote online. Sometimes grief makes people greedy. I did not respond. Grandpa's letter had already answered. Do not embarrass yourselves. By October, the business was growing. A local bakery expanded its order. The Nashville Wellness Shop featured our honey in a holiday box. A regional magazine wrote a small article about veteran-owned rural businesses and included Whitaker Honey House. The headline was simple: Coming Home to the Hive. My mother shared it on Facebook. Of course she did. Our brave Anna carrying on her grandfather's legacy, she wrote. I stared at the post for a long time. Then I closed the app. At Thanksgiving, my parents invited me to dinner. It was the first invitation in 2 years that did not sound like charity. I went because I wanted to see what would happen inside me, not because I owed them. The dining room looked the same polished table, same china, same framed family photo where I stood slightly apart, uniformed and smiling, before anyone knew what coming home would cost. Melissa was there with Brent and the boys. She avoided my eyes. My mother hugged me too tightly. You look wonderful, she said. Thank you. My father asked about the farm, not the land value. The farm. How are the hives? I studied him. Winter prep is almost done. He nodded. Your grandfather used to worry about that. He was right to. Dinner was careful. Too careful. Everyone stepped around the past like broken glass on a floor. No one wanted to sweep. Then Melissa said, So, are you making real money from bee syrup now? Brent laughed. No one else did. My father looked at her. Don't call it that. Melissa blinked. What? He set down his fork. Don't call it bee syrup. Your grandfather built that business. The room changed. Melissa's face reddened. My mother looked stunned. I looked at my father and saw, maybe for the first time, not a transformed man, but a man who had finally noticed a fence after walking into it. Small. Late. Not enough. But not nothing. After dinner, my mother found me in the kitchen rinsing plates. You don't have to do that, she said. I know. She stood beside me for a moment. Then she said, I handled your coming home badly. I kept my hands under the water. Yes. I thought if we acted normal, you would become normal. I turned off the faucet. I was never abnormal. I was injured. Her eyes filled. I know that now. I wanted to say she should have known it then, but I was tired of teaching people with my wounds. So I said, Good. She nodded, accepting the smallness of it. That was new. A year later, Whitaker Honey House was stable. Not wildly rich, not fantasy rich, stable. I hired June part-time after school. Sam became a formal consultant. We added beeswax candles and small gift crates. I converted Grandpa's old workshop into a packing room. I kept the porch exactly the same. My body still had hard days. Some mornings, pain moved slow and heavy. Some sounds still caught me off guard. Some nights I woke before dawn and walked outside just to feel the ground under my feet. But the farm gave my days shape. The bees gave me proof that healing did not have to be loud. A hive is never silent, but its noise has purpose. That matters. One spring morning, I found a swarm hanging from an apple tree branch, a living curtain of bees clustered around their queen. Years earlier, it would have frightened me. That day, I stood beneath them, calm as sunlight. June whispered, "Are we in trouble?" "No," I said. "They're just looking for a new home." She looked at me. "How do they know where to go?" "They send scouts. They wait. They decide together." She frowned. "That sounds nicer than people." I laughed. "Sometimes it is." We caught the swarm and settled it into a new hive box near the back field. I named that hive True North. Grandpa would have rolled his eyes at the sentimentality, then secretly liked it. The farm is mine now. Not because my family approved, not because I proved I deserved it, not because suffering earned me land like some cosmic transaction. It is mine because Grandpa Eli saw care where others saw inconvenience. He saw steadiness where others saw damage. He understood that I did not need to become the old Anna to be worthy of a future. My family is still complicated. My father visits sometimes and repairs things badly but earnestly. My mother buys honey at full price from the farmer's market even though I tell her she doesn't have to. Melissa has not apologized. She sends Christmas cards with no handwritten note. That is her level of peace for now. I no longer chase more than people can give. That may be the greatest thing the bees taught me. Not every flower offers nectar. Not every hand that reaches is safe. Not every noise is danger. Not every sting kills. Not every ending is loss. Sometimes the hive survives because the wounded one keeps showing up. On the 2nd anniversary of Grandpa's death, I sat on his porch at sunrise with a cup of coffee and a jar of honey catching light beside me. The hives hummed beyond the apple trees. The air smelled like clover, wood smoke, and morning. I opened his last letter again. The farm does not need the old you. It needs the true you. For the first time, I believed him completely. That is my story. A family that welcomed my uniform, but not my pain. A grandfather who left me bees, land, and proof. A wooden box that protected the truth. And one wounded woman who learned that healing does not mean becoming who you were before. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who was treated like a burden after surviving something hard. And remember this, karma does not always arrive in a courtroom. Sometimes it arrives with wings, honey, and the quiet hum of a place that never asked you to be unbroken.